Poker and crime, crime and poker. Sometimes it feels like the two go hand in hand. Most of the time it's just a stereotype, a lazy headline or an old wives' tale. But every once in a while the line blurs. And in today's story that line may not have even existed at all. So let's get into it.
I mean, I feel like this is at the start of any drama headline of Florida man arrested for illegal gambling.
But before we do, thank you for checking out Poker Boom. Do you like when we dig into the darker sides of poker? Let us know in the comments below and drop a name or two if there's a story you think we should cover next. All right, here we go. So let's start with the basics. Who is James Kerr? James Kerr is a Florida-based professional poker player. Not exactly a household name, but in the Florida poker scene, he was definitely known.
I don't know. Is he a good guy, bad guy? He's got tournament success in his poker career.
Over a career that spanned several years, he racked up about $700,000 in live tournament cashes. In 2021, he took down a $1,700 buy-in event at the Seminole Hard Rock Tampa Poker Classic, pocketing just under $230,000. Fast forward to September 2024, and he bagged another major score, over $111,000 in a single tournament. You put it all together, and you had a guy with a real resume and a reputation to match.
So he's actually a decent poker player. Just got caught up with, illegal operation.
He was a regular in high-stakes cash games around Florida, frequently seen at the biggest events and deep in the action. Kerr seemed like a legitimate player, one of the standouts in the Florida live circuit. But while the poker world saw a rising pro with some impressive results, law enforcement apparently saw something else entirely. In April of 2025, things took a sharp turn. James Kerr was arrested by the Polk County Sheriff's Office and charged with 3 counts of money laundering. According to Sheriff Grady Judd, Kerr wasn't just playing poker, he was running high-stakes underground games and laundering the profits.
We learned that James Kerr was running a big-time operation and making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Between 2021 and 2023, detectives say Kerr pocketed around $800,000 in illicit money from these private games. And to be clear, this was not just a vague accusation. Undercover officers had allegedly infiltrated these games and watched the operation unfold firsthand.
This building here behind me on Avenue D Southwest, which is currently occupied by a new business now, was one of the main locations where detectives say Kerr was hosting his illegal poker nights.
They claim Kerr was moving large sums of money through multiple personal bank accounts, presumably to make it harder to trace the source. It's a textbook laundering move. Break up the funds, spread them out, and hope it blends in with the legitimate income. Sheriff Judd did not hold back, calling it a big-time operation, and saying Kerr was using his poker fame as a cover for an underground business that was all about greed.
Guess what? He became greedy and decided he'd set up his own illegal game, and that's when he got arrested.
Now, from Kerr's side, his lawyers pushed back hard. In his initial court appearance, the defense argued that just moving gambling winnings between personal accounts isn't laundering. Their words, it's no different than putting your legal gambling winnings in a sock. The judge, though, was not fully convinced. Kerr's bail was set at $60,000, and he was slapped with a GPS monitor in case he got out. And it might not stop there. Investigators have said there could be more charges and more people involved. So this might be just the beginning.
Do the detectives get to keep their winnings? If they're undercover and they win?
No, that's the whole thing is you think they were winning.
You
I
think they were winning?
play with cops. They're not winning.
So what exactly is money laundering and how does it apply to poker? In short, money laundering is the process of taking money that was earned through illegal means like drug dealing, fraud, or in this case, potentially illegal gambling, and making it look like it came from a clean, legitimate source.
That's where my issue is if you're going to run, an underground game that is technically illegal, like, you're going to be able to get away with it if you don't scale it too much, right?
In Kerr's case, the accusation is that he ran illegal poker games, made a ton of money under the table, and then tried to disguise that money as regular income, possibly by mixing it in with legitimate poker winnings and spreading it across multiple banks. If you're convicted of laundering over $100,000, the consequences are no joke. We're talking up to 20 years in prison, fines of $500,000, or even twice the amount laundered, whichever's higher. Kerr is facing 3 separate counts, all over that $100,000 threshold. But this isn't just a James Kerr problem. There's a reason that poker and money laundering come up in the same sentence so often. Poker is obviously a cash-heavy game. Even in 2025, a lot of money moves in and out of the ecosystem with very little paper trail. Add in private underground games, high-stakes buy-ins, and players who deal mostly in cash or crypto, and you've got the perfect setting for illicit activity. If you wanted to launder money, poker is a pretty attractive vehicle. You can claim it was winnings, mix it with real results, and suddenly illegal money looks legal. But what makes the Kerr situation feel especially shady is that he wasn't some anonymous backroom dealer. He had actual tournament results, public, verifiable, and even impressive. And that legitimacy, according to prosecutors, gave him cover for a much darker operation. Look, scandals like this are bad for poker, period. Poker already fights an uphill battle for mainstream respectability, and stories like Kerr's drag the game back toward the shadows, into the same sentence as loan sharks, mob ties, and rigged games. And when major players or respected names get tied to crime, it damages the game's image as a skill-based competition.
It is always interesting, though, when the poker world touches the real world, right? And you see stuff like this on the national news, and it's like, oh, gambling illegal. Nah.
Casinos don't like this, sponsors definitely don't like this, and states that depend on poker tourism really don't like this. And beyond the public image problem, this case could raise some serious legal questions. How do we legally define what's a legal poker game versus an illegal one? What's the line between a private home game and a criminal operation? And how should players be expected to handle their winning? Kerr's defense is leaning into that gray area, arguing that he didn't do anything more than move his own gambling money around.
And he put him inside his own bank accounts. It's no different than putting your illegal gambling debts in a sock, and putting it there. That's not the laundering. That's not the washing.
But the government's view is that this wasn't just messy bookkeeping. This was laundering on a major scale. But of course, this is not the first time that poker's collided with money laundering, and it definitely will not be the last. Think about the Black Friday scandal in 2011, when major online poker sites were accused of laundering billions through fake transactions. Or the time when high-stakes regulars were found to be bankrolling games with drug money. These stories keep popping up because the poker world, for all its rules and all its regulations, still runs on trust, reputation, and most of all, cash. At the end of the day, if Kerr's story teaches us anything, it's that even legitimate-looking success can hide something much worse. So what happens next? Well, Kerr will have his day in court. Maybe the charges stick, maybe they don't.
Just because these are the only charges that are out there right now doesn't mean we might not file more, alluding to the players that actually participated in the game.
But regardless of how the case turns out, the damage is done. His name is now tied to a criminal investigation, and in poker, reputation is everything. Once it's gone, it's hard to get back. So yes, skill will earn you wins, but the second you cross into illegal territory, you're not playing a game anymore. You're risking your freedom, you're risking your future, and you're risking the reputation of the game we all love. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching another episode of Poker Boom. We drop new videos every week, so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We'll see you in the next one.